How's it going? Hi, Instagram. How's everybody doing? I'm so excited. I'm going to be talking about branding and design coach. Hey, Calvina. And we are going to be doing more of these lives. Hey,
Hello.
it worked.
It worked.
The Instagram gods shone down and gave us good Instagram energy.
Yes. You're in your car.
Yes, I am in my car. I'm doing a live from my car. I'm on the move today, and um, yeah. But yeah, I wanna start the conversation. So, Calvina, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then I'll introduce yourself, and then we can kick it off.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm Calvina. I am a designer, I also am a photographer, and I'm a visual brand strategist. What that means is that I really like to help small businesses to communicate their brands visually. And I think it's so important, that we are able to say the things that we need to say, communicate and get, our words, get visibility, right, about our businesses. And so I love to dive into the nerdy part of how to do all of that stuff and also the visuals. So I feel like I'm left brain and right brain together and just like I get so excited about all that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. No, and it's so needed with the designer. I think I was telling you that I'm doing my own redesign, and I find that designers are they're just so intimate parts of our business because that visual element is so powerful and so potent. And anyway, we really need your work. We need your work.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. So yeah, we have some people hopping in. Hey everybody. Hey Chris, Jessa. Okay, so today so I'll introduce myself and then we'll introduce what we want to talk about. So I'm Cinthia Pacheco. I'm an SEO expert. We have an agency side of the business that I have my team around, and then I have a bunch of courses and trainings and things like that. And so one of the reasons that me and Calvina have connected and we're doing these different trainings month over month is because we both have these parts of our business, like this DIY part of like clients and students who want to learn for themselves. And then we've got a done for you side for those clients who are just wanting to hire it out and get it done. And so I think today what we're going to talk about is how to choose, like what are kind of the pros and cons to both of these options, because there's really not a right or wrong way to run your business, and really looking at what do you want to be doing now in this season of your business, because I've definitely experienced seasons where I was like DIY 100%. I want to learn this. I want to learn, the basics of branding, or I want to learn the basics of whatever I need to learn to get myself to the next level. And then I've had other seasons where I was like, you know what? I'm going to just figure out my budget. I'm crunching the numbers and I'm hiring this out because it's not happening any other way.
Yes. Yes. I've been there for
uh,
both.
yeah. Yeah. And it can be hard. It can be hard. So, I mean, in your, like for you, Calvina, I guess, what do you feel like when it comes to design? What are some questions that someone can ask themselves where they're kind of figuring out, okay, do I want to hire out this area of my business when it comes to design and branding, or should I, you know, yeah, figure out how much money do I need to hire the designer, or like what needs to happen to hire this out?
Yeah. So I mean, I know my customers and my clients pretty well. And there are times when, people come to me and I'll talk to them and I'm like, okay, you're not ready for this. As much as I love working with you and I love seeing money and getting the clients, I don't think that is in your best interest to work with me on this like done it for you
Right,
setting because
right,
for me, I feel like there are certain things that needs to be done first, right? And so I think when it comes to DIY or done it for you, I mean, in a broad stroke, it would be kind of the where you are in your business journey. And
right.
like the earlier in the journey, there's a lot to learn. And, you also have less, less capital at the time. You're still getting things up and running. And I think more important than the money actually is the knowledge. And like, there's so many things that you still need to figure out in your business. There's still a lot of things that are still in like the trial mode, like
Right.
there's so much to be learned and so much to kind of take it through the mistakes and, make the critical mistakes so that you can learn from that mistake and see if this even works, to validate your idea, validate certain messaging and things like that. Like, especially when it comes to visuals, it really is about messaging, right? Like, am I even talking to the right people? Am I saying the right things? Is this what they want? Like, those are the three key questions that I think are so important when people are making certain decisions when it comes to branding and
Mm-hmm.
visuals and communication, getting visibility and things like that. And so if you don't have those questions answered, then you're not ready for sure to go into like having somebody else do it for you. Yes, they have the
Mm-hmm.
expertise to guide you to get to a result faster, but at the same time, it's also, you need to actually put it into practice. And so having somebody else put that into practice for you, I think is less I think, yes, it'll fast track you. I mean, there's definitely the benefit of that, right? It'll fast track you, but at the same time, you don't intimately get to learn that as much. And I feel like that experience and that knowledge and that feeling of, oh, I get it, or that feeling of confidence, because I've walked the walk, I've done it all, and now I'm ready to go. And that part, I feel like it's super invaluable, and you can't buy that with money. And that's why I think it's kind of important in the beginning to kind of roll up your sleeves and get dirty. And it's not about, like, again, it's not about the money, right? Like, it's about, you know, getting it, like the light
Mm-hmm.
bulb turning on and getting it. And
Right.
that's why I think it's important to put on the learning, to put on the willingness to learn and
Yes.
try things and implement, make mistakes and figure out if this is working. And when you have that figured out, that's when you hire the people, because then
Right.
you have clear instructions to tell them what to do. You could be able to, get a better sense. You have everything in place. And so they will be able to, you'll be setting them up for success. You'll be setting yourself up for success. And that's when things will take off. And you don't, and by that point, you'll have more capital. You'll have the money to spend
Yeah.
and better instructions. And I think that's, ideally that's the progression that I like to see.
Right. Right.
So, and that's on the design end of things anyway. So I know SEO is like, for you, what you do is a visibility on a different level. It's a visibility, like online visibility, coming up in searches. I love to hear about that stuff too. I mean, do you feel like that's the same for you? You would say the same for you?
Yeah. Yeah. Before I jump into the SEO thing, I just want to comment on what you said because it's so good. It's so true. It's like we need to know the core and the soul of the business to some extent to be able to do the
Yeah.
design, right? However, I've hired designers because sometimes I'm looking for someone I'm curious to hear if this is how you work with your clients, but I'm like looking to work with someone who will also take me through a process to uncover
Yeah.
that, right? So it's kind of like a balance, right?
Yeah.
Because you hire a designer to also kind of, in some cases, coach
Yeah.
you. Again, they're not a business coach, so they can't do like that testing you're talking about, like, testing your services, testing or doing audience research, although you do some of that for your
I
clients
do.
too, right? You like help them with your audience. So I don't know, like, I feel like there's like this point where it's like, okay, I don't know it perfectly, but I know it enough and I feel confident with what I'm here to offer to hire a designer to then like define this visually and internally even more.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of playing the devil's advocate a little, but like I do feel like there's that point where it's like, okay, I can learn this, but I just really want that final product.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it depends. I think sometimes to the DIY, like taking a course, like you have a branding course, right? That course can also be a way to eventually train team members too, or just like you said, know the basics to be able to, hey, Carissa, to be able to then give instructions to a designer because designers have their language. And so it can be helpful to also speak the
Yeah.
language, right? So it's interesting how there could be different motivations around the DIY. It might not always be like, I just want to do only my branding. It could be like, okay, I want to know enough to be
Yeah.
dangerous, and then I want
Yeah.
to like hire it out, and I'm not going to do
Yeah.
this anymore.
Exactly. I think ultimately the goal is still that. ultimately the goal is to not do it yourself. I think that in
Yeah.
any of our businesses, the ideal thing is to be able to let go of certain tasks. And but that again, I think that is the like where the difference between kind of the earlier on in the journey and then the later on in the journey where being able to in the beginning is to understand what you need and test things out. And it's as a journey, and then but you can test things out also with done for you too, but it's
Right.
just more costly, right? It's more
Yeah. Yeah.
costly, and then but it's quicker. And then so
Yeah.
it's like so basically it's for me it's time and experience more so than even money. Yes, that is, I feel
Yes.
like those are the three like variables, right?
Elements.
Like elements, right? It's time, how much time you have, how much money do you have, and then also the experimentation of it to like that ends up with like the knowledge and the confidence and
Yes.
ultimately. And so for me, I feel like earlier in the journey that confidence is critical. And then
Yeah.
so the confidence comes with absolutely with making the mistakes and implementation and things like that. And so there's different things, like, I take my clients, I take my students through an implementation process, but I also actually take my clients also through a trial and implementation process too. It just looks a little bit different. I do more
Right.
of the work and for them, whereas, the other parts. But then what I find is that between my students and my clients, that my students come away actually like with more confidence.
Crazy, right?
Mhm. Because of the fact that they have to do the work, they
Right.
have to do the thinking. There is this, of course, is a specific, I guide them through like a specific thinking process. It's like a framework. And then my clients, I do the same, but I'm doing most of the thinking.
Right.
So, and as a result, they will get a maybe like at the end product is more pretty, it's more professional, but the confidence in there is slightly more disconnected to their identity. I mean, and this
Right.
this has to do with their branding, right? Which is different than SEO. So branding is when it's your identity. It's like literally, this is what I should look like. When they
Right.
built it themselves, there's this sense of connection to it that is unparalleled, I think, when they
Yes.
do it themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating, right? And I'm sure you've also got people, and this happens in my course too, my SEO course. I have people who want to learn SEO to then provide as a service, right? So you have maybe people who are like VAs or maybe a web developer who's like, okay, I just want to know enough of this branding thing to then be able to go back to my clients and say, hey, now I can help you with some of your branding. And start to gain that experience. Do you have a few? Have you found that in your
Yeah,
course?
absolutely. Yeah, they want to know. And also there are, people who are coming into the course who already have a brand, but they
Right,
are missing parts of their
right,
brand.
right,
One example is that like, okay, a lot of people, they automatically write off the course if they already have a logo
right,
and or they have colors. I already have a color. I already have colors. I already have a logo. I already have, all of these things already made. So I don't really need this course. And then
right,
for me, I'm like, but yes, you have your logo, but then in what spirit did you create this logo? Are you really happy with it? And have you
right.
really like put it to the test? Because your branding isn't just about your logo, it's about everything else, right? It's about like your whole presence. And
Right.
so every place you show up, which may or may not have your logo on it, so what does that presence look like? Have you implemented that? And then so a lot of times, people show up, they're like, yes, I'm not happy with my brand, but I already have a logo. And I'm like, you know what, you may not, you're probably, you need to like start from the like the foundations. That you need to figure out your story. What exactly is your vibe? Your logo may not be hitting all the points where you need to hit, and you may not be happy with it. So a lot of time when people go through the program, then they're like, oh, I actually either I want to keep my logo, just tweak it a little bit, or I want to ditch it entirely. And I've actually had people who go through the program and like, I need to change my name entirely because I realize now that like I now have a better sense of my like identity, who I
Right.
am, after who my audience is. I actually didn't know that prior to
Yeah.
this. So I think, like most people just they're just so they're so like I got this logo, and I'm like, man, you are just putting way too much like credit. Like you're putting way too much on this logo.
Forget about the logo for a second.
Yeah. I think a logo is really important. It is one of the biggest parts later, but not right now, right?
Right.
Like, and so that's what I find. And then like, there's always missing pieces. You know, they're like, I don't know what to do with the logo and the colors because I actually don't have any like designs made out of it. I don't know how to implement this. And so I don't know how to turn this into an actual social media post.
Right.
I don't know how to turn this actually into a presentation that I can give and still have my branding on it. I don't know what that could look like. And so those are the things that I feel like are, you know, that are the missing pieces, and they want to come in and learn that.
Right.
And even if they already have something in place.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, and I love what you said about the confidence. I see that, someone could have a established brand, but then maybe they're not connected with it, or maybe they haven't done that deeper work of like asking the questions, and so they want to come back and be like, okay, who is this, right? What does the brand represent? And then being able to really fully show up with the colors, with the logo, with everything, and say, okay, this is what we represent, and being able to just, yeah, feel good about it.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, like do you feel the same, similar, in the SEO realm? Like what are some of the biggest questions that you feel like needs to be answered when you're guiding people through, say, the SEO, do it for, where you are ready to do it for them? Because for you, it's actually, for me, I feel like I guide people, like the big difference between like SEO and branding, but for me, like when it's even done it for them, I'll do it for them, I'll launch them, and pretty much they take it over from there. They'll come
Right.
back to me every once in a while,
Right.
but for you, it's like you would consistently do it for them, to them from a month to month, like a service,
Yes.
right? And then
Yes.
so what is like, and I feel like that's even a bigger difference, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, we do have like one-off audits. So we do have some clients who they have like a web developer, and so we're able to give them a focus, and then they take that and they run with it. But a lot of our clients are, like you said, retainers. So they're month by month. We're just continuously working on their SEO. And I really see it as a partnership. So we're an SEO agency, but really we're your partners. And so we're not just talking about SEO. We're
yeah,
talking about your offers. We're talking about your social media. We're talking about your email campaigns, because if you're not connecting all those pieces, your SEO isn't going to work in the best way. That doesn't mean we talk with all our clients about all those things all the time, but if it comes up, it's like something it's not like we're kind of like, oh, social media, we don't talk about that. It's like, no, 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 this is part of your online presence. Like, I recently had to talk to a client about why it's important for her to register her business on Facebook,
yeah,
because she didn't want to. And I was like, look, for local SEO, if you are in just this state and this city, it's going to help you to have a Facebook presence. Now, that doesn't mean you need to post every day. Like, yes, ideally, eventually, you want to get your social media campaigns going, but just having the Facebook page actually helps with SEO. And so she
oh,
didn't know that. She didn't know that. And I was like, great, let's talk about it. And I like walked her through, and now I'm helping her with that. So it's fascinating how a lot of people are like, oh, SEO, like that's just your site and that's code. And it's like, no, we talk about your ideal audience. We talk about um, your offers. We look at if your site's actually profitable. We're not just putting random keywords on your page. Like, that doesn't, like, yeah, that's part of the process, but we're looking at, is your site going to generate you money, right? You're a business. So how are you connecting with the people who are ready to buy from you? And so that's a big part of our work. And yeah, I guess there are some parallels. So with the DIY, I find it's a lot of service providers. So we have a lot of VAs, we have web developers, we have some other SEOs too who want to like improve their process. And then we've got bloggers, and we have some business owners who want to do it for themselves and want to just do the basics so that they can eventually train their team. So I would say, what's the differentiating factor? I guess, like, yeah, whatever is going to get you going. So for a lot of people, maybe starting out, like, you have more time than money, maybe, I don't know. So taking a course is a way to jumpstart certain marketing, and taking an SEO course is a great way to complement your other marketing. So you're not just doing just one platform.
yeah,
Or maybe there's someone out there who has a podcast and they want to like figure out how to get Google searches from their podcast. And so there, the course can be like a way to learn just, again, it's not like blogging. It's not this idea of like, oh, I'm just like a blogger. No, no, no. This is just about pages on your site attracting traffic from Google, whether you have a blog or you have like an article section or you have a podcast. So I have a lot of my students who, they don't have a blog. They just have content on their site that attracts visits and then eventually sells, whatever they're selling. We also have like a lot of e-commerce businesses because, product SEO is also another kind of part of the course and something we look at. So yeah, so I would say it's like, what do you have more of? And like, what are you also feeling called? Like, what's going to inspire you? Again, for me, when I've hired designers, sometimes it's like I get fed up of myself. I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm done dragging my feet on looking at this next iteration of my business, whatever this looks like for me. And I need someone to like help me get over this, right?
Yeah.
So maybe the same thing happens with SEO. Like a lot of people have been avoiding it, or they know, like I've had clients who are like, people tell me all the time, I found you through Google, but I have no idea why. Like, I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're tired of like being this big black box where they're like, I have no idea what this is, right? And so they just want someone to be like, okay, where's the magic happening and how can we duplicate that and replicate that?
Yeah.
And so that's also kind of a factor, that
Yeah.
yeah.
I see that too. And like, that's another factor is like, do you like doing this? Because there are
Right.
people who do not like, I'm like, I don't recommend you taking my course because you would hate it. You would hate it because you hate following directions. You
Right.
hate like having to like follow certain steps. And then
Right.
you would just hate it and you don't like being creative. You don't like designing. So I'm like, just don't do it. Like there are like literally that too, and I can see that also being a barrier for people for DIY SEO as well, where it's
Yeah.
just like all that stuff would just like it's just difficult, or it's not
Right.
where their brains are wired, and that's okay too. I mean, like everyone's so different, everyone's wired so differently.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like if you're not a creative if I'm trying to shove creativity, into a square peg in a round hole
Right.
situation, then that's not going to work either. And so I can see that on the more technical side, on the SEO, there's some technical stuff that, it might be really difficult for someone to like, or they don't have the time, or it just doesn't come easy to them.
Mhm.
And they would prefer someone else to do it for them.
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, so in the course, the last module is technical SEO. So it's actually designed, hey Claire, it's designed in a way where you don't actually need to know code, at all. Now, that doesn't mean that the technical of the side, that part of SEO, you just get to ignore. It just means like you get to take action, so you start getting results faster.
Yeah.
And then when you do get to that point, you can decide, okay, do I learn this stuff or do I
Yeah.
hire someone to help me? And so there's like a decision process, but the differentiation is that you are aware of what you don't want to learn as well. Like that's another thing is like a lot of people make it this big scary code monster and you're like, oh, like a 404 page is when there's a page that used to be there and it's not there anymore. Okay, I get that. Like
Yeah.
that's not that hard. That's just, it seems scary because it seemed like these random numbers that, just seem weird. Or like redirects, that's like a big one. Like a lot of people get freaked out with redirects. Are they good for SEO? Are they bad? And like learning just the basics of that. It's still important as a business owner to be aware of
Yeah.
what redirects are. And then later you could have a web developer or a VA just help you with the setup.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about it. So I would
Amazing.
say the same with branding. Like if you're not connected with your colors or you don't understand what they represent to some extent, it's going to be hard to see those results, right, at the end of the day.
Yeah. 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 Totally. Okay. I have actually an interesting question for the both of us.
Yes.
In the
Yes.
end, whether you do DIY or hire somebody to do it for you, okay,
Yes.
what is the ideal result and end and scenario for you as like you're like, yes, successfully it's been done, like whether it's them doing it themselves or you've done it for them, like what does that look like?
For me, I've had many students say is like now they look forward to looking at the data, like the search console, which is what we use in SEO. Like I've had people who are like, oh, I don't want to, I just don't want to look at it. Don't make me look at Google Analytics. Like you could like torture me or whatever, but don't make me. And then at the end, they're like, I look forward to it. Like now I'm like looking in there every day or every week, like I have
Yeah.
my time, and it's exciting because I see the growth, and it's kind of like, it's a giddy feeling. Like that means I've done my job.
Yes.
And it's like, yes, success. Obviously I want all my students to have just like actual SEO results, but that is like the marker for me. How about you?
Yes. Yes. Well, one, there's two, right? Like one is the feeling they feel inside. Is like one of my favorite things to hear is that like they're like, I feel so seen. Like I feel
Yes.
so seen. And like
Yes.
when they see their own brand, they're like, oh my gosh, this is so me. And I've never felt so confident.
Right.
Or this is who I've always wanted to be, like these
Right.
words that they say, whether
Yes.
it's a student or it's, and it's like I could finally go out into the world. It's the feeling that they feel, right?
Right.
And then the second result is that like their people are coming to them. So
Yes.
like
Oh my God, that's so good.
right? Right? And then so when they actually hear that, her their ideal customers, they're like, your stuff is amazing. Like I've never seen it so good. And they would give them compliments and tell them that, because now both sides are like, for branding, it really, at the end of the day, it means that people are feeling seen and heard, whether you are the
Yes.
brand or you are the customer. So if you're the
Yes.
customer, if there is a brand that actually that resonates with you, you feel seen because you're like, you pre-created this product for me, like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so like, and I have, people who, students who created a brand and they're like, they're a product-based business. They are at like their markets and they have their banners up, they have their tables up, and finally all their products are cohesive, everything shines. And then like people
Right.
are coming up to them and telling them, you have the best booth here. And it's like, you're amazing. Did you like,
Wow.
who did like
Who's
like,
your designer? I
yeah,
want to hire
they're
your
like
designer.
me, like, and so then they're like, me, I did this. And so but that's a good feeling, or it's just, so I think that's a good thing. It's not just looking pretty, it's not just feeling the confidence, but it's actually you, when you see, for me as a visual branding, is that like, oh, you're resonating, you're connecting, and people making comments, and they're actually coming to you because they keep wanting to come to you because it's like they feel like you're the right person for them, right? And then so
Yes.
that means you're getting the actual results. It's harder for me to measure. It's harder to measure my results versus yours because yours,
Yeah.
literally, you have Google Analytics that are giving you the numbers.
Yeah.
But for me, in some ways you can measure the numbers in the end as well, because it
Yes.
does, like, it does play a role in how long people stick around, how often they come back. When they feel like I'm in the right place, they'll keep coming back. And how you make them feel, the client experience, all of that just is a part. So when your website looks good and your information is presented in the right way, you're delivering all the right things, that the end result means that they stick around and they come back. And then so you see that in numbers, in
Yeah.
actual numbers.
Yeah. And people, just that verbal feedback or whatever, someone emails you,
Yeah.
that's qualitative feedback, right? And qualitative data.
Yeah.
So you get to write that down, and those are results. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's so, you're so right. Like it's so obvious when you see a brand that's like really thought out and cohesive and resonates, even if it's not a brand you would hire, it's
Yeah.
still so different. And when you start to differentiate it more, I'm sure if I took your course, I would see it even more. Like just really seeing, oh, that brand, like someone thought about that. Oh, this one is just like a Canva template that they like changed around,
Yeah.
and like it's done.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. The thoughtfulness behind the intention, right? Like
Yeah,
it's usually, you can tell the difference. You can tell the difference.
totally, totally, totally. Oh, this was so much fun. So I'm so excited. So we're going to be doing kind of these lives and chats monthly. So whether the people watching, hey, everybody, if you follow Calvina, if you follow me, make sure to follow both of us so that you get those updates. And I guess Calvina, just to like wrap it up, tell us a little bit more where people can hang out with you. Obviously on Instagram, but
Yes.
where else?
Yes. So Instagram and TikTok. And so a lot of my content currently, because I feel like a lot of people are just interested in making their content pretty really
Yeah.
quickly, then
Yes.
I teach I teach a course called Brand Magic with Canva, which is a very accessible and fast course.
Yes.
Just, like go in, it takes an hour to take the class, and then, I'll end up with the live, like where you can hop in and live. And then, so that's a different class. That's like Canva. And then actually it's so funny because I wanted to talk to you about this. Literally just today, I launched a new link on my website, and I was like, I need to talk to Cinthia about this. But because I've been making like Canva videos for a while, and I put it on Instagram, I put it on TikTok. So I'm on TikTok a lot also. And then but the problem with, Instagram and all of these is they go away. And so I was like, okay, because part of my class, the new class that I've got, the Brand Magic with Canva, is that I help people to explore all the new features in Canva. But then I
Right.
can't possibly put all that in a single course because they're constantly putting out new videos.
Right.
And so anyway, if you go to my website, you will actually, which is Your Brand Spark, and if you put / Canvas tutorials, then you can even find that, because then I
Nice.
will actually show I'm trying to be like on time. Like I'm trying to like, get to some of the new features really quickly. But as soon as I put that on there, I've actually got a list, like a blog listing, like of all of the new things that I've been posting.
Right.
So that way, you don't have to search for all of my Instagram. Everything is going to be categorized in
Oh,
my,
that's exciting. And
website.
that's
So
That's very SEO friendly because so many people are searching. Like the other day, Canva moved around how to link things. It drove me crazy. And like so many people are like searching Canva how to add this or how to do this. So that's a good SEO
you're
strategy.
right. So that's why I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this sooner? I did this actually for my course, for my students, because I wanted them to have a place where they can look up the new features.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, I think I need to put this on my website. And then so my assistant and I just like whooped it out in 24 hours. And then so I showed it to my students today. I need to tell Cynthia about it because it's so SEO.
Yeah, that's very SEO friendly. Good job, good job. You're
Yeah.
getting your virtual pat on the back. Hey, Sarah, just popping in at the last moment. We're gonna wrap up soon. Yeah, okay, so I guess we'll eventually announce what we're gonna talk about next, but really our goal, hey Sarah, is to have these be just like a meld of what we both do and just helping you guys just with obviously with your marketing, with your branding. And if you have any requests as well, so I'm an SEO expert, Calvina's a branding expert and a graphic designer. Please send it to us and DM us or email us, whatever, because we're also looking for inspiration and we want to support you wherever you're at, whether you have a team and you're hiring things out or you're learning for yourself or you're figuring out what you need to do. We're here to support you and we want incredible things for you this year and for your business this year. So all right,
Absolutely.
Calvina, this was so much fun. I can't wait for the next one. All
Thanks
right.
for thanks for doing this with me. It's so fun. Always fun.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right. We'll talk soon.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.